Hey guys, welcome back to Cars and Caffeine. Today we're reviewing a 2006 Mustang GT Premium with a 4.6 liter V8.
So you crossed the room when the lights came on. You can take your time cause the night is young. I'ma take you home when the vibe gets strong. Wait.
Alright guys, first we're going to start off talking about the interior here. First off, on the left we have our lights, parking and regular daytime running lights, as well as fog lights and brights. We have your information screen down here to display this car has only got 19,000 miles. Here it shows how many miles are left on it. For fuel, averaging 19.5 on the highway, averages about 25 miles a gallon, so I think that's pretty good for a V8. Just different information screens, just kind of your usual displays for an 06.
It's kind of interesting though, that screen in the middle is still pretty similar to how Ford does it today, even on their new vehicles, where they still don't use a heads-up display or anything like that. They keep all the information there along with the gauges in the center cluster there. So.
Yeah, pretty similar to your Ford Explorer, just not as much technology, of course.
Yeah, so even 12 years ago is still a very similar setup to today, which is kind of interesting, but it makes it feel not that outdated, which is good or bad, whether you consider it should be more modern or not.
Yeah, and this one's outfitted with a Shaker 500 watt audio system. It's okay, but it's 2006, like I said, so you can't expect much from the stereo.
Plus, if you're in a convertible with the top down, it's not going to be great audio quality anyway, so it's not a huge loss there, but it still is a double din, so you could always switch that out with a aftermarket head unit, some speakers if you want to upgrade the system.
And the back seats, there's no room. You can put a child maybe back there in a baby seat.
It's a good spot for luggage, or small children could be fine back there, but it's definitely not going to seat 4 adults.
And this one's fitted with the 6-speed automatic transmission, the 6th gear being the overdrive gear, which you can turn off via the side knob here.
One downfall of the interior, however, is that there's definitely not much storage space. Larger bags and items like that can go in the back seat or the trunk.
Yeah.
But smaller items like phones or even extra water bottles, things like that, there's very limited storage in the doors and storage compartments, so you really can't fit much in there for items like that.
In the trunk size here we have 9.7 cubic feet, and as well as a wheelbase of 107.1 inches long.
So the trunk space is definitely small for its class, but on the right side the trunk does open up nice and high, so you can load things from the top, which makes accessing the trunk nice and easy. However, you are obviously limited on space. So now looking at the trunk, you can see it's not overly spacious or anything. The owner right here has some coats and umbrellas in there, and really that's about all you're going to fit in there. You're not going to be able to fit a bag of golf clubs or anything like that in there, unfortunately. And then especially with being a convertible model, that really cuts down on trunk space as well. But it fits for some small luggage or duffel bags, things of that nature. And then underneath here as well, you also have your spare tire, just tucked away underneath the trunk there, which again limits the trunk space. All right, and here we are popping the hood.
Here we have the 4.6 liter V8 that makes 300 horsepower at 5750 RPMs and 320 pound-feet of torque at 4500 RPMs. It is fitted with the Ford Racing throttle body. And that is the only aftermarket performance part on this vehicle.
So now while we're out here, let's take a quick look around the exterior of the vehicle, and then we'll hop in and take it for a drive. So up front we have the halogen headlights along with fog lights inside there in the grille. And around the back we have this classic Mustang taillights with the Ford GT emblem and a little bit of a spoiler, and the dual exit exhaust.
This Mustang is outfitted with the Continental Extreme contacts. They are 255 by 45 R18s, and they are wrapped around an 18-inch custom Foose wheel. Alright guys, driving the 2006 Ford Mustang GT Premium with the 4.6 liter V8. Well, it's definitely got some power.
Yeah, for only 300 horsepower, on paper it seems like it wouldn't be that fast, but in reality it actually picks up pretty good and gets going. 320 pound-feet of torque helps a lot too, and even with the 5-speed gearbox, it's actually surprisingly quick.
Yeah. And you definitely can notice that the power band is a lot higher in the RPMs, but that's what you get when this in a Ford V8 usually, so yeah, this car definitely rides very rough, but it's a muscle car. You can kind of expect that.
Yeah, it definitely does ride pretty rough.
It's kind of a sportier suspension, especially for that year, but it's a Mustang. It's going to drive like a Mustang.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, as much as you would like it to be a nice cruiser, it really isn't. Despite the name, it's really not a GT car, and even like with the exhaust note, it sounds great, but there's also quite a bit of drone in the car when you're just trying to cruise, and the stiff suspension and not the most comfortable seats, not the most luxurious. All these things kind of add together to make it not exactly a great cruiser, but for being a muscle car and kind of a fun sporty car,
driving around town, it's not horrible.
It accomplishes that very well, and it is a very fun car to drive. Has plenty of power, it's loud and aggressive, it gets looks, it does all those things right. Getting on the highway there, you can hear a little bit of that exhaust note, a little engine noise.
Definitely in a convertible, you're going to hear a lot more noise, so there's a little bit of wind noise in the vehicle, but that's the owner of the car actually just drove this 191 miles, and he was getting 25 miles to the gallon, doing 70 miles an hour on the highway, and for a V8 muscle car, that is definitely acceptable.
Yeah, especially from 06, that's great fuel economy.
Alright, and the 0 to 60 time on this vehicle is rated at 5.6 seconds, which is a good time. It's a quick car. For those of you who drive cars that are in the 7 to 8 second range, hopping in this definitely does feel pretty quick, even though it's only a 300 horsepower from a small block V8. She definitely moves.
And in this car in particular, it especially helps to have these aftermarket tires, which help put the power down a little bit better and give you a little more confidence in the corners.
One downside to this vehicle, I would say, though, is the blind spots with the top up are absolutely horrendous. I'm completely relying on my mirrors, which is what you're not supposed to do, but checking my blind spots is a very difficult thing. It makes for driving in heavy traffic a little bit difficult. The transmission does shift very smooth, though. For being in traffic, it's not the worst thing in the world. And the seats aren't very bolstered. I mean, this car does take turns aggressively, but you need to have the right tires on here because it is rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is a downside of the interior. Not only are the seats not that comfortable, they also don't really hug you or have those aggressive side bolsters to really hold you in place. So it's kind of hard to decide what Ford was trying to do with these seats because they're not comfortable or sporty.
I mean, in comparison to now with the new Mustangs, the bolsters on those seats are just so aggressive and they hold you right in place. But that's technology coming forward.
Alright guys, so thanks for sticking through this long. Just to kind of wrap up and summarize our thoughts and feelings about this car. In experience, we kind of feel that Ford was a little confused in making this car, and they're perhaps trying to make it a true GT or a true cruising car, but we feel they didn't quite accomplish that in all the right ways. As we talked about, the seats are kind of uncomfortable, it's pretty loud, there's exhaust drone, things like that don't add up to a great cruiser, but yet it has a good engine, making 300 horsepower and good specs that-wise. It's rear-wheel drive, and it sounds aggressive, and it's a good sports car, just not a good cruiser. So really, when it comes down to it, this 06 Mustang really makes to be a good sports car, especially for the money, but it's not a good daily, it's not a good cruiser, it's not a good road trip car, there's no storage, it's not the most practical, but if you buy it as a sports car, it'll serve you well. Just keep that in mind as you make this purchase or look at a car like this.
Alright, well thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next video.
I remember saying twice, baby, I shouldn't drive. I should let you hold the keys, baby, take them aside. If you taking my advice, maybe then you survive. Yeah, I've been my grind, baby, look at me now, yeah.